Well, Washington in overdrive, looking for ways that Uncle Sam can fix this housing mess. But someone here says, well, the best fix is just to let home prices tank. Joining us now, the always optimistic Peter Schiff, the president of Euro-Pacific Capital and the author of Crash Proof. Okay, Peter, you've been very prescient on a lot of the things that have been playing out in this market. You say we got to just let these home values plummet. Why?
Well, of course, remember, we're in this mess because of the inflated home prices, which led people to overpay for homes. Borrow more money than their homes were worth. It's the reason that we had all these teaser rates and ARMs, because people were overpaying for houses and they needed creative ways to afford these payments. But if you look at the glut of unsold whole houses on the market, if you look at foreclosure recovery rates right now of only 50 cents on the dollar, nobody's going to lend into this market. Nobody can afford to buy at these prices. They have to plunge. But unfortunately, that's going to bring in a whole new set of problems, because now we're going to have bigger losses for the lenders, more people walking away, and of course when American homeowners come to the realization that all their home equity is gone, they're going to have to cut back on their spending.
Peter, look, for several years on this show I've been saying we need a 20 to 30% correction nationally and 50% in hot markets. We're in a real estate bubble, but that doesn't mean that should happen in a year. If that happens fast, the way Peter's talking about, you're going to have, the stock market plummet 5,000 points. You're going to have a huge depression. It has to happen slow. It's going to have to happen, but there's a difference between falling 5% a year for 4 years and just plummeting in 6 months, which could happen if you have massive foreclosures.
One is Japan and one is 1932. No, but neither one is really good. But Julia, let me get you in here. I mean, the lawmakers don't seem to have a fix for this problem. And Ben Bernanke this week came out with the idea of telling banks to just cut the principal of their loans. It seems outrageous.
Well, one of the things that a lot of the lawmakers are talking about is a 90-day moratorium on foreclosures, which it is not a long-term fix. What this does is it could allow people the time, be it 3 months or 5 months, to get out of these mortgages that they shouldn't have been in the first place and get into something they can afford.
Honestly, Julia, you got me paying for now your mortgage and your pap smear. I mean, is there anything else you want me to cover? It's only a 30-minute show.
Hey, you're paying it for your mother and your sister, too, so...
Yeah, well, I don't think we're related, but, I mean... The role of government, Terry, that's what it gets back to here. The role of government is not to pay people's mortgage. It's not to let them out of bad deals they made. And a free market means free from the government, not from the consequences of your own decisions. Schiff is absolutely right on this. The market needs to correct. The more the government does to stand in the way, the longer the process takes.
Wayne,
Jonathan, I think you're being a bit extreme on this. Let me bring Wayne in here. Wait,
Julia, let me bring Wayne in here. He's been our resident real estate guru. Wayne, you've been dead on in this market. Where are we headed?
We're headed further south, and it's probably a good thing. Yes, you've got to do this. The biggest fallout of this is not so much that some poor person is losing their house. That'll work out. Banks do not want to foreclose. People do not want to foreclose. That is a drastic measure, because then they got to write off the loan or write the loan down.
Exactly.
They're going to have to do this anyway in some form or fashion. The best thing to do, as you said, is for the borrower and the lender to get together. But now that we have all of these derivatives and the loans have been sold, the borrower and the lender no longer know each other. They don't know where the loan is. And that is one of the problems. And that's the way to fix this, is to put them back together.
A lot of the homeowners, though, want to walk away from these homes. They're underwater. They're liabilities. They're not assets. That's the problem. There's no incentive for people to stay in these bad bets. People bought houses because they thought they were going to get rich. They did it without putting any of their own money in. And now that the bets have gone south, they're willing to walk away.
Peter, let me stop you. Wait just a second. You're talking about speculators.
No,
I'm talking about people who actually live in the house.
A lot of people,
you're talking about a speculator. That's a different thing.
Wayne, a lot of renters.
Shut up just a second and listen, Peter.
I heard you. A lot of people who own houses were renters, and they bought because a realtor told them they were going to build equity. They bought because they thought the house was going to appreciate. They were happy being renters.
Okay,
they're speculating.
Julia, I think they both have a point. Some people are walking away from their homes. That used to be the most embarrassing thing that you could do. There doesn't seem to be any sort of embarrassment about walking away from your home anymore.
Well, I think there still is, and what we're talking about are people who are going to end up, Jonathan, you're going to end up paying for these people anyway because they're going to have to go into public housing. They're going to have to be, subsidized somehow by the government. So what Wayne is saying is actually correct, and I fully support it because it is not good for banks to foreclose. It is better for them to get together and allow someone the time to get out from under something that they can't afford in the first place.
Okay, score one for Trapper. Thanks, everybody. Coming up next, safe haven stocks in this stormy stock market. We have the names coming up. Safe haven ways to keep your money secure in this shaky market. Time now for Best Bets. Okay, well, shaky it is. Jonathan, what's your pick here?
Well, Terry, it's not actually even a stock. It's a principal protected note. GBO,
what does that mean?
Well, come February of next year, you're going to get no less than $10 back. The stock's trading about $10.60 right now. So basically, it's a way to bet on the upside of a basket of exotic currencies like the Singapore dollar, the South Korean won, the Chinese renminbi. So it's like a call option on the securities, but it's principal protected. So you'll get $10 back come February of next year.
Okay, so you're playing sort of on perhaps growth in that part of the world. Peter, what do you think?
Well, I like the idea. I just don't like the pick. I think these structured products are gimmicky. They're laden with fees. They reduce your upside. And, who wants Merrill Lynch as a counterparty? You're better off, Jonathan, with the individual currency ETFs. They got more upside, less downside, and better tax treatment.
But I think that's the whole point. How could there's not a currency ETF for the South Korean won.
Right.
So how does somebody get that exposure?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is a problem.
But I don't want exposure to Merrill Lynch.
Okay, we don't have time for all that. Peter, what's your play then?
Well, the problem is there is no safe investment in the United States. The dollar is a disaster. It drops almost every day. You got to get out of the dollar first. I like buying conservative, high dividend paying foreign stocks. Most of the ones I buy don't have ADRs. One that does is Telecom New Zealand, NZT. It's got a 9% yield, and the stock is trading at the lowest price it's ever traded.
Right. So conservative. It's down. So conservative, Terry. It's on 50% in the last 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, but
Peter, you love foreign stocks, but foreign stocks are getting hurt just like domestic ones are.
Okay,
yeah, but remember, Jonathan, it's undervalued. You get a 9% dividend to wait.
Okay, we got to move on to Jonas's pick here. It's a U.S. stock. What is it?
So it lacks the safety of the Russian ruble and emerging market stocks, but I'm going with Walmart, which is one of the safest U.S. stocks. And right now you see a lot of people going down to discount retailers, and the stock's been up, the market's been down. I say safe.
Wayne, you like it?
I don't care for it, no, because I think it's flat. I don't say you're coming into some kind of a recession, therefore I don't think Walmart works. I like Leucadia National. I think Leucadia's done a great job. The two guys who run it are terrific. They got a great balance sheet. It's a safe stock, and it's a great thing to have in this economy.
And if they should be able to pick up some bargains here, those two bargain hunters. Jonas, what do you think about this one?
Wayne would be right if the stock was a little cheaper and they had a little less real estate exposure, which is not safe in this market.
All right. Got to leave it there. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great weekend. All the news is straight ahead right here on Fox.